In a city mined for its gold but lit by the sun, at the intersection of a historical hill crowned by an old woman's prison and a neighborhood considered notoriously unsafe by some, two women stand strong, painted in shades of black and gold on the walls of an old maternity ward, reclaimed by those seeking shelter. One of them wears a kanga around her body, the other stands completely exposed. Their hands are linked together as if linking the stories of countless women in South Africa and the world that have stood for the autonomy of their own bodies. I wear my body without shame.
How are you doing, sweetie? I'm doing good. Hello.
We are always focusing on our narratives and what makes us different. And a lot of the stories that we hear and the stories that we tell are really similar. And so the story of one woman ends up being the story of thousands. And that was the most apparent to us in the very beginning of our campaign, and how we started. And that was, through telling the narrative of Fezega, who was known to the media as Kwezi. Jacob Zuma, who is the president of South Africa, was like an uncle to her. He shared a cell with her father for 10 years on Robben Island. And so she, when in Joburg, would come and stay. And on one particular night, she was wearing a kanga, just a very regular piece of cloth that you use to cover your body and you use for certain things. And he raped her. And he said she was wearing this one piece of clothing. And so therefore she wanted it. We got a call from Sipu from HOLAAfrica, who said, there's this collective in India who paint murals, and we want to paint a mural in Johannesburg. And that was the gist of what we got. So when we were in the workshop with the Feminist Collective, that was like, man, the feminist gods opened up the heavens and everything worked well.
The workshop itself, the Fearless Ritual, was absolutely magical. A ritual is basically, for us, it becomes into this performative action that people participate in, that allows you to get into a much larger, deeper emotional space where you can really speak from a space of honesty and truth. And with this particular ritual, we started to think a little bit about just daily rituals around the body that we see around us and how we could use that as an entry point into a much deeper, more meaningful space. So the thing that came to mind, especially since we were having so many conversations about what makes a bad woman or a dirty woman, was this idea of cleanliness or cleansing. We decided that we wanted to create this tub, and each woman would sit right in front of the tub, and it had all this warm water and roses inside of it, and each of us would go and start to actually cleanse ourselves of all the shame that had been imposed on us by other people.
I cleanse myself from the systems of oppression. I cleanse myself from the religion that oppresses us.
I cleanse myself of depression and anxiety.
I cleanse myself from all the hate and all the anger that our society even towards us. I cleanse myself of all the awfulness
that people have said over the years about my size and about my body.
I cleanse myself from the society that keeps on telling me every day that I'm not good enough, that I'm not a good woman.
I'm cleansing myself for the hatred of my family and the hatred of them on me. That was a nice thing.
And so the second part of the ritual, now that we'd let go of all of that shame, was this plate with earth inside of it and a little bit of gold dust. So you take that gold and mud, and almost as if you were taking the mud that the world was slinging at you, and you'd wear it on your face like war paint sorts. So adorn yourself with it. And as you did that, each woman would talk about things that they were absolutely proud of about their body.
I am proud that I allowed myself to have feelings for women. I'm proud of the fact that I am strong and I'm resourceful.
I'm proud of being a lesbian. I'm proud of being a woman. And I'm proud of being a butch who have calves. I'm proud of being able to embrace her body. I'm not ashamed to be me. And I'm not ashamed of my boobs. I'm not ashamed of my hips.
Okay. The poem I'm about to read out is by Fezegile Kuzwayo, and it's titled My Kanga. It's a statement in response to the rape trial that she was involved with between the president and herself, and this is her response to the statements that had been said about her in her name. I wrap myself around the curvaceous bodies of women all over Africa. I am the perfect night dress on those hot African nights, the ideal attire for household chores. I secure babies happily on their mothers' backs. I am the perfect gift for new bride and new mother-like. Armed with proverbs, I am vehicle for communication between women. I exist for the comfort and convenience of a woman. But no, make no mistake, I am not here to please a man. And I certainly am not a seductress. Please do not use me as an excuse to rape. Don't hide behind me when you choose to abuse. You see, that's what he said, my malume. The man who called himself my daddy's best friend. The one that shared a cell with him on Robben Island for 10 whole years. He said I wanted it, that my kanga said it, and that it was it that lured him to my body, or rather to my bed. That with it, I want you, it's what I said. That my kanga said it, but what about the no I had uttered with my mouth? Not once, but twice. And the please no I said with my body. What about the tear that ran down my face as I lay stiff with shock? In what sick world is that sex? In what sick world is that consent? The same world where the rapist becomes the victim, The same world where I became the bitch that must burn. The same world where I am forced into exile because I spoke out. This is not my world. I reject that world. My world is a world where fathers protect and don't rape. My world is a world where a woman can speak out without fear for her safety. My world is a world where no one is above the law. My world is where sex is pleasurable and not painful.
It's a very good idea because, you know, especially in this province, most of the women's rights they are not noticed, and most people they don't take them into consideration. But I like this because it represents us as women. I love it. It's really going to change our building. It's going to be like a light to our building.
The people that we create also say something, and the way that we try and frame the thing that they say is like working with positive affirmation. And the whole deal is that, you know, a lot of times in a lot of activist movements, like the messaging is very negative. It's very like, hang the rapists, stop violence against women. So we use positive affirmations as a way of like almost reclaiming our own right to be change makers.
And what's the kanga line?
My kanga, not an invitation.
Not an invitation.
Yeah?
Not an invitation.
Hi, I like that then. I wear my body without shame, and then my kanga, not an invitation.
I wear my, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I wear my body
without shame.
And the final part of the Fearless Walls that we always do is everybody gathers around together, and within the collective image creates a space for their individual experience. In this case, each of us came up and said, I wear my forgiveness without shame, I wear my vulnerability without shame, I wear my pleasure without shame, I wear my fear without shame, and I wear my sadness without shame. And it's so wonderful because everyone has really come together over a day of music and food.
Here in South Africa, I know that a lot of men are always reminding us, women don't know their places. That's why this whole violence is happening on their bodies. You're in places where you're not supposed to be. You're doing things you should not be doing. You know, there's rules, and we're playing outside of these rules. And for me, this painting is exactly that. We are a group of women or a collective of women that play outside those rules. And we are just going to break those boxes by being who we are and reclaiming ourselves and saying we are individuals and we want to live our lives the way that we choose to live our lives.